episode of SteelTalk here with Steelers of Ireland, and in this particular episode I'm going to take the opportunity to talk to my good friend Jonathan Milligan, who's one of our great players here. Jonathan, you've been part of this series so far on the other episodes.
I have indeed, and I'm in the hot seat this time. I don't know how that's going to go. To make up lies, just loads of lies.
And to make up numbers, we've added my son Josh here has sat in as well. So he has. So we're going to have a bit of a chat, Jonathan, about it's been about other players and we've interacted. But I'm going to ask you right back to the beginning.
Back to the very beginning. Well, I suppose my mum and dad has a lot to play with my beginning in country music, let alone steel guitar. But from an early age, my mum would have had records. And funny, I just watched an interview on Lloyd Green. Lloyd Green was the bridge wash down, that chicken picking sound almost on the steel guitar. That was probably one of the first records in our house that I would have paid attention to. It was a Billboard record from the late 70s, and that particular song was in it. Our house. Now, late 70s, it would have been the mid 80s maybe when I was listening at it, but I heard that steel guitar and I wanted to know what that was. But there was a band who come to the Mayfly Inn in Cache, right beside us, and there was a steel guitar in it, and Mum and Dad would have had us out around the country music scene playing different guest teas and concerts and stuff, and we were like a bit of a freak show because I was about 13 or 14, my brother Stephen was only 8, and Robert the brother was about maybe 15 or 16.
Sure.
So like we were these three wee young fellas running about the country, and we were playing country music, which was very odd, and it wasn't cool to be country at school or anywhere where we were hanging out, really.
And we're talking about the 90s here, Jonathan.
You're chatting about 89, even 88, 89.
Yeah,
we started a band then in 89, so it was before that even, when I would have heard steel guitar. But the interest would have been like the band that come to the Mayfly had a steel guitar, and that's Alec Douglas, which I talked about in an earlier interview, where Alec's gone now, God rest him, but he actually played a lovely wee Black Mullen steel guitar, and it was just really to get out to hear steel guitar live was the first time I heard it. But there's another incident where we were at my mum's cousin's house. There was a man that lived in a mobile house, a mobile home down at the back of my second cousin's house, I suppose. Yeah. And he had a lap steel. Right. And we used to hear it because we were running around. We were small children running around outside, playing outside. But I could hear this music away coming from this.
From the distance,
This from the distance. There's a fella called Billy Patton who's gone as well. But Billy was a sort of a man who lived on his own, and he always had a few drinks in him, and he was a scary man to go down, so I couldn't really just walk down and say, can I hear you playing the steel guitar? So it was always a distant sound, but again it was that sound that drew me to the guitar, the steel guitar. But knowing later on when I got into country music, it was a country music instrument really. Yeah, of course. So hearing Lloyd Green playing the Bridge Wash Down and all them other songs, John Huey with Conway Twitty, there's nothing like it. Hello Darling, The Crying Steel in the back of that. 15 years ago, all them songs. Those albums were in our house. We listened to that. Where most kids my age, 15, 16-year-old, would be listening to Top of the Pops, and with a cassette and recording the hits, the top 10 on a Sunday evening. I was away listening to Conway Twitty or something else. And of course Merle Haggard and George Jones, all those great players. So I never really got to like much in the line of any other genres really. It was that country sound. Not that I didn't like it, I just wasn't interested in it. But steel guitar became a thing when I heard it live with Alec playing it in the Mayfly. I tortured Alec. At this stage we had been gigging a bit. I had a few pound gathered up from the gigs, and I said I want to buy this steel guitar. So he asked me £1,100 for this lovely black Mullen, and I couldn't afford that. So he says, leave it with me, I'll keep an eye, give me your number. And he did ring one time, he said he has a wee showbud, and that's the wee showbud I have now actually. It's a Pro 1, is it? Pro 1, a wee single neck Pro 1, and great wee guitar, so that got me started. So,
and it's probably worth twice as much today as what you paid for it back then, Jonathan.
Well, I would hope so.
It's a good investment, yeah.
I would hope so. But
what year was that, Jonathan, roughly, you got your first
I would say that was about 93, 94.
Yeah.
94, and around that. So, but I would have played mostly in the bedroom. We would have transitioned in our band then from...
You were a young man then, Jonathan.
Well, still am, I think.
Yeah, because you're not that much older than me, really.
In my own head, I still am, I think.
Yeah.
But you know...
because when I met you first, you were a young man. And that was the year 2000.
2000, yeah. Well, you know...
We worked together for a series of weeks.
Well, I'd have been around 25 at that stage, so, you know, so it wasn't too young, I suppose, but young enough. But we'd been in our own band doing the scene, like the pubs and that. We transitioned from live drums to a drum machine type of thing, and Stephen, the brother, played sax and acoustic, and Robert played a bit of lead.
Yeah.
I was playing a bit of lead. Robert played bass, and then I was playing a bit of lead and steel at that stage. So, but as we got into the weddings, then the steel became a sort of a thing that you didn't take the time to set up. Yeah. You set it aside. You didn't play much. You know, so it got to the stage we didn't even take it out of the van. There was a line in the van. So there was a period, I'd say, for about 6 or 7 years where I never even bothered much about the steel.
No,
you know,
you didn't.
It sat up somewhere in the house at home. Never really got into it, but we started doing, you know, with the like year where I met you, Ryan, going into, I got a call to play with Martin Cuff.
Martin Cuff, that's where we first met.
Where we first met, and it was lead and steel, and it was through Seamus McCusker, who you probably remember Seamus.
March of 2000, Jonathan, is that right?
That was March of 2000, yeah, and I was actually...
I was just after an accident at the time, and I think the first couple of gigs we played, I think I had a sling on, and my arm was in plaster Paris and then I was playing. Rather than let the band down, I persevered to play on and played with my left hand, which was kind of a strange thing looking back. But
no, it was the best thing that could have happened, in my opinion, to you, because your left hand is better than most people's right hand. the bass sound that he has on his left hand is just like a bass guitar player. He does some amazing movements in that left hand. I suppose that was thanks to that, really.
Well, yeah,
you know,
probably.
Muscle memory with that for that 6 weeks.
I had to retrain myself. That's when we first met.
Yeah, I think that's it. So the steel guitar in, and I grew in love with the instrument again. You know, I wanted to learn how to play it, but at that time we chatted about, there was no real YouTube till, I don't know when YouTube came around, but there was nothing like that. You know, whenever I was at it. Whenever
you were starting
there was a few courses that you could have bought and paid for, but again it was mail order. There was no emails or nothing, so it was kind of...
Probably Homespun, is it Homespun used to have the magazines?
That's right, Homespun.
Or the videos, VHS cassettes.
There was VHS cassettes, but there was a guy who I have to thank, and he actually sold me a small lap steel, Andy McGuire from Irvinstown.
Oh yeah.
Who you'll hear talked about, maybe who's no longer with us either.
Yeah.
But Andy actually bought himself a lovely custom built Zum steel guitar as well at one point. But Andy had made he called it the cricket bat. It was like a lap steel made out of solid mahogany, and he carved it out himself. And he put in a Fender humbucker pickup in it, and he put on the tuners, and he gave me this wee thing, and he sold it to me because I wouldn't just accept it as a gift, so I give him money for this. That's why I always say he sold it to me. But I still have it, a lovely wee lap steel. But that got me started. He gave me picks in a bar with it. That was back to when I started, really, you know, before I got any steel. So I have to thank him as well, you know, for getting me on the journey. But you know, you can go on ahead then, you know. I was going on to say there's no tutorials online or nothing, so I got to the stage where I found myself stagnant. I was playing the same licks, the same riffs everywhere, getting nowhere really. And it's only about 6 or 7 years ago I got in touch with Rusty Danmeyer.
Rusty, who I know very well. Actually, he's a great player. Great
player and a gentleman.
And a good friend, yeah.
I still have to meet him in person yet, so maybe that'll happen soon. But we done a few Skype lessons, about 6 or 7 Skype lessons I done with Rusty, and he just opened the whole neck up for me and
put you on better tracks.
Better tracks, you know. He showed me a couple of extra positions. I was just looking at it as, you know, so the 1, 4, 5, and I wasn't thinking that this one could be played with the F lever here. It could be played, you know, so many other places.
Yeah.
And then you can also go in reverse instead of climbing up. You can go backward. And he just opened it up and left it. I understood the instrument more, which is something I would have probably benefited from at the early stages a lot quicker. So I'm playing a long time. And it's only now I feel as if I can howl a tune now, you know.
You're like Jonathan. You're up there with the best players that we have here.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but no, as I say, I've influences by all the great players in Ireland here. Richard Nelson, I've been listening to him trying to steal his licks for years. Just Richard, and you have Martin Cleary, who played on a lot of records of me growing up.
We all grew up listening to Martin and Richard both playing on records.
There's a guy, Chuck Owens, what a player. He was a great player, great steel player. I got to see him live a couple of times throughout the journey. Great country player, and what a singer as well. He could do it all. But as far as live, Aidan Cunningham, I've seen Aidan a few times. He was a great player too. There's so many great people who are no longer with us as well.
Right. That's right.
But hopefully with archiving some of this information here, it can live on a wee while longer. But to have the like of this man coming up, it's just great. He has the interest in it, and he has a talent for it as well.
Well, Josh is playing. How long are you playing now, Josh?
Over a year.
Just over a year. Josh is playing pedal steel, and
brilliant. He can play better than me at this stage now.
Well, we wouldn't say that, but
he's great. And it's the excitement of bringing somebody young, to the music, to the instrument. If you could just get a few of your friends coaxed into learning it now, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
That's right. Times is a lot different now, and I have to say there's great opportunities for the likes of Joshua. Josh has been very fortunate. With me having an interest in pedal steel, he was here in the room, and we come down here to the room and we mess around, and Josh started taking interest. So I showed him a few basics, and we put a few videos up online on Facebook or that, and you were only playing maybe a month and a half or 2 months, were you? When Travis Toy contacted me, sent me a message on Messenger, and he had seen Josh was 12 at the time, and you're playing. What are you, 13 now?
Yeah,
13 now. So he was only playing 6 weeks, and Travis sent me a message to say that to look up his tutorial, and he came back to me and says that he had a sponsorship deal for Joshua, and he got a full year free, and we owe that to Travis Toy because and it's been a great, it's a great start for Josh. And then we had Sarah came over, who's a personal friend, a good friend of all ours. Jonathan, you know Sarah well too.
So,
Sarah came here last May and spent a week. So Josh has had, unlike back when you were starting out, and Percy and Ted and even Richard and Martin Cleary, all the guys we talked about, there wasn't near as much back in those days.
No, there definitely wasn't.
So opportunities is certainly much better for the likes of Josh and young players coming along.
That's right.
It's
definitely the case, and I have to say, Travis Toy and Paul Franklin, all those online things are fantastic. They really are. You're getting it first hand from the experts, the legends, really. I just wish I had more time. I've subscribed a few times to those. I had to cancel because I just hadn't had the time, because I have a business as well.
I understand that.
And that has always, I suppose, been a priority because it puts the bread on the table.
You've never
committed fully to.
We've been friends a long time.
Yeah.
And boy, have I broke your heart to try and get you to join bands. Through the years, when I needed a man, you were always my turn to get, and you were never able to commit due to your business.
Just due to the business, and you know what? If there was anybody around, and I'm just saying this because you've always been the first to ask me, but if there's anybody I would have loved to join, that would have a country band would have been yourself, because you do play the sort of music that I love to listen to, and it's just to be an ideal situation. But obviously. 96 I started a sign business, and that has really been where the priority has lay. I've managed to keep myself alive with it for 26, nearly 27 years now, so I can't really turn me back.
Of course you can't.
But my first love is always the music.
Yeah.
I just love and especially the steel guitar. But in saying that, I've had so many great opportunities. So since I did take up playing the steel guitar, I've had opportunities to travel with the steel. And
Jonathan, moving back a small bit in your family band, the Originals.
Yes.
You've got very, I can't say you got lucky, but you got a great opportunity with Country Cool.
Well, we done a TV thing in 2003. It was really, to be honest, it was something my mum had applied for a talent contest, and she's a humble woman, and she says, you don't have to do it. I've applied for it, and you've been told to appear there. You go if you want to go, but. And we weren't really pushed, to be truthful, and we said, right, if we go, right boys, we need to do something. So we learnt this song. It was a Rhonda Vincent, kind of a bluegrass version of a George Jones song, which is something I can't remember the name of now, but I picked a bit of mandolin, and I'm not really a mandolin player. The two boys played two acoustics. We went up and we sang. We worked on our harmonies, because that would have been a feature with us.
Of course, the three vocals, three brothers, family harmonies. They always say that
it was great, and we got three harmonies together for that particular song. And once we sang, well, we could see them. They loved the harmonies, and they loved the bluegrass is what they labelled us. They call us.
Well, you see, that's what I was going to get around to, because suddenly. For a period then, people assumed you were bluegrass.
Oh yeah, big time. And we were booked for bluegrass gigs. Rather than turning down the booking, we just went on ahead. We chanced around.
But you really weren't bluegrass at heart.
No, well, there's nothing. I love bluegrass, but we weren't virtuoso fiddle, banjo, or mandolin players or acoustic players. We were just people who loved the harmony. Really, was the harmony that kind of made us stand out for that particular genre. We went on to do the Country Cool thing, which miraculously we won. We won a recording deal with a Nashville record company, Curb Records, so a very well known record company.
That's right.
And but we didn't get to record it. No disrespect, the album turned out great. It wasn't as country as we would have liked it.
Okay.
But that wasn't what the record company wanted. They wanted a more contemporary version. So we sang songs like. Karma Chameleon in a bluegrass style, believe it or not, which is interesting. We done Man of Constant Sorrow, done some great songs too on it, and it's not knocking the album, but we always felt that we didn't give it our own touch. So 2 years later,
off the back of that, you made the firm decision, you and your two brothers.
Yeah, we did.
And you got on the plane and you headed west.
We headed west to not exactly Nashville, South Pittsburgh, developed into a good friendship with Mike Hedrick, a great steel guitar player who recorded with Ralph Mooney, Sean Huey, Tom Brumley and them all. He's got a duet albums with them all. And,
of course he has.
But we went there back and forth on this is going to be a long story, long interview, but we went back, we talked back and forth with Mike. We talked about having a guest artist on to do a duet with us, or do some sort of a song with us all, because there was three of us. It wasn't exactly going to be a duet, but and we wanted someone great, some great featured instrumentalists on it as well, and Mike assured us he would have the best of the best on the album, which we knew he would. It was through Derek Mahaffey. And Derek, a good friend of ours from Fintna. Derek, he actually set us up with Mike, because Derek had done a lot of work with Mike.
Of course.
So talking back and forward, we found out that our duet was going to be with the late great Charlie Louvin of the Louvin Brothers, which was fantastic. We got to meet that man, and he spent the whole day with us, and the stories of touring with Elvis and Johnny Cash, and he just told us stories like what we're doing now, sitting down. We had no cameras, unfortunately, but imagine what we could have captured. Coming on the Thursday, that was a Tuesday, we'd done the work with Charlie Louvin, we were on a high at that stage.
Of course you were.
The Thursday, I was always the one inquisitive, what about the steel? Are you going to do that yourself, Mike? And Mike says, oh, just don't you worry about that, we're not at that stage yet, Mike would say, And he says, the steel's going to be down Thursday morning, and then he told us, he's a great character, I love Mike, he's just a great person, and a comedian as well, great fella, and a great steel player. he was actually featured on the Irish Steel Guitar Festival one year as well.
I know he was, yeah.
But he says, right, we've got the steel on Thursday morning, so I says, well, are you doing the steel yourself? And he cut me the shoulders. He says, you know, John, he says, I've got a surprise for you. He says like that. I says, all right, have you? He said, I said, what is it? And I thought he was going to say, oh, you're going to play steel yourself, you know. I said, no, that's not what I was down for. Like. And he says, we have John Huey coming in on Thursday morning to play steel on your album. And Jesus, it was like, the hairs are still standing by my neck. You know,
the thought of that now, Jonathan.
The thought of that now, yeah.
And I'm sure you even appreciate that more now than you did back then.
More now.
Yeah.
I was starstruck, to say the least. I was actually, when I look back, I was watching how he set his guitar up. I was watching how he took it down, and I wasn't thinking logically about asking him stuff about his guitar. I've learned more about his guitar since, but I never thought to ask the man, because he was a hero of mine, still is.
Was he playing the Emmons at that time, or was it the Zum
Steel? It was
the
Zum Steel.
The Zum Steel, yeah.
And I asked him about the Zum Steel. I did ask him. I said, "What do you think of the Zum Steel?" You know, it sounds like so naive to ask it that way, but that's what I just said. What do you think of the Zum Steel? You know, instead of, you know, I think now what I could have said. You know, but he says, "I'll tell you what," he says, the Zum Steel is the best steel guitar I have ever played.
Wow.
He says they don't get any better than a Zum Steel, and that's the words he said, and that's gospel. He had a lovely Zum Steel, although I learned since he had his Emmons pickups, original Emmons push-pull pickups, and fitted in his...
Fitted into whatever pickups he used in his Emmons.
Yeah, he had it fitted in his Zum.
In his Zum.
But it didn't matter, the tone that guy had was...
To spend time in a studio with John Huey.
Yeah.
Who's he's the guy. That's something special.
He really was, and him and his wife Jean, the both of them sat there, and he come in and he blew us away with everything he done.
Yeah, of course he did.
You know, I have a clip on YouTube where it just shows clips of, because we videoed as much as we could of the whole experience.
Yeah.
So I put together clips of John playing on our album, and it was lovely to have, you know. Yeah. But there's nobody to beat him. Nobody to beat him.
Coincidentally, and I'm moving along now, going up the scale, but you were there with Mike Hedrick, but you currently own Mike Hedrick's Zum. That whole thing led to, the world's such a small place now, because you've got a beautiful Zum Steel, and that was Mike's Steel.
It was Mike's Steel. It was especially built for Mike, I think, as far as I know. But it had 7 knee levers. And it had 5 pedals, 4 of which were here, and a 5th pedal was way over, just to the left hand side of the volume pedal. Yeah. And I don't know what that was for, because that wasn't on the guitar when I acquired it. But again, Ted bought the Steel off someone. I'm not sure the history. Ted would correct us on this, but he kept it. He was going to keep it for himself.
I know Ted was going to keep it.
And he said he wouldn't part with it for anything. But Ted took a notion, as you know. He asked you. It was you he asked, wasn't it?
I think I rang you, did it?
And then you rang me and said that you know, he said there was only really 2 people he wanted
to have the guitar. Yeah.
And I was the lucky one to acquire it. Yeah. But the steel guitar, there's nothing like it. It doesn't leave my wee studio at home. It just stays there.
You love it.
There's very, very rarely I'll be bringing it out. Maybe the odd occasion. It's such a great guitar, tuneful guitar. It never goes out of tune.
No.
It never, and I mean that. And if it's in a cold, you know, because I go out to the studio, I'll turn on the heating. There's very little tuning to be done, you know. There's obviously a bit of contraction with the steel and so on, but it's very, you know, the nylons, they don't have to be touched.
Never have to be
It's always in place, you know, and I love the tone of it. I thought initially the pickup, which is a Wallace pickup, wasn't just good enough. Not good enough, I shouldn't say good enough, that's correct.
Wasn't what you wanted?
It just wasn't what I wanted, because I was used to playing, well, I have a lovely, beautiful wee MSA, just identical to this one, different colour. It's nearly set up identical to this one as well. But it has a Bill Lawrence 710, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was used to that because I had it for a few years, and I think. But I've heard a clip back from the Zum that I played one night at a small club meeting for Ted, and I just love the tone of it now, you know. So I've recorded a few things for different people on it, and it does come out, or it does record
Sounds
very,
really
really well, you know.
Really
and the tuning, as I say, is half the battle when you're recording.
That's right. Jonathan, when you're at the guitar, go and play something, please.
I don't know what that's going to be.
Beautiful.
But no, MSA makes beautiful guitars too. I think my next buy will be the Tour Pro, maybe. I love the idea of having a dobro on the neck. But
Kyle and Mitchell build phenomenal instruments.
They do.
You know, the build quality and everything about an MSA guitar is, you can't fault it.
You can't. Really, and Mitchell was at the Steel Guitar Festival this year, and I got a good chat with him, you know. And
we had the pleasure.
Great people too.
They're great people.
Lovely people. And that's what you said earlier about the community of the steel guitar. You know, there's so many nice people in the business. You just can't go wrong. The advice they give you.
That's right.
Everybody is so forthcoming with all the advice they have to give. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
But no, here, it's all. The future's down to this man here, and it's great. It's great. It's in your hands, Josh.
Well, Josh enjoys it. Josh currently goes to boarding school.
Yeah.
So and he normally, for his first period there last year, he took a steel with him. He hasn't had a steel back at the boarding house, but Josh played at the Irish Steel Guitar Festival last year, as you know, Jonathan.
He did,
so I think he's one of the youngest players to. He had just turned. Had you just turned 13? Pre the festival, and coincidentally, the week that the festival happened, he was just playing exactly 12 months at that stage. So it was quite an achievement. But he worked hard and he enjoys it.
He has. He's worked hard. You know it. You play. And I can see your daddy puts clips up of you all the time, and I can see improvements all the way. You know.
Plays an intro of something there, Josh. Something of your choice. Yeah. Josh likes his Mullen. He kind of inherited this Mullen, and we got a very Sarah Jory very kindly sorted out a deal for us, and Josh has got this, and he loves this guitar, you know. Sure you do, because he has the opportunity of playing lots of guitars here at home, and he always sticks to his Mullen. So just play us something, Josh. Is it all a Ronnie Miller intro? Yeah. Anything else there? Give us a few other of your. Give us some other chops. Yeah, so he's
I can learn a lot from this, Bob. Just watching you there a couple of minutes. That's great, right? Brilliant.
So hopefully he sticks with it, you know. But he's.
He will.
Yeah. He works hard, you know.
You have an interest in it, you like it, and and you're listening to plenty of good country music now.
He does. He loves country music. Who you know? You've got a couple of favourites at the minute. Who?
Gene Watson.
Yeah.
Sure. He's alright.
He doesn't have much of an option, because I would be a huge Gene Watson fan. So would you know?
There's nothing like it. And again, it's Mike Johnson that's on the steel mostly in it. That's that later stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, the more modern.
Fantastic.
Stuff,
So it is. No, very good.
But it's all good, Jonathan. You know, we could talk for hours.
We could, Ryan. There's no need to. I'm happy enough, and I'm delighted to be a part of this. And a big thanks to yourself and your family for inviting us into your home here.
Jonathan, not at all. Thank you for partnering, for being a partner through this, because a lot of things we do, we always talk and we do things together. And someone too, I would like to say a big thank you to Seamus at Videotech, who's taking care of all these episodes, and you know, these this stuff's going to go on the archives, and it's just nice. We hope to do another. You know, there will be more episodes, and there's lots of other great players. But Jonathan, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for coming along.
Good man, right? Or George, even calling you daddy, isn't he?
Anyhow, that brings us to the end of another episode of Talking Steel here with Steelers of Ireland. Thank you very much.